In the early days of this competition, strongmen from the United States dominated. Then came a 24-year drought before another U.S. athlete would hoist the trophy. But it wasn't until 2009 when one of the most successful runs by an American began. Since then, Brian Shaw has stood atop the podium 9 out of 10 times and has claimed 4 titles, the most by any U.S. athlete ever.
Coming for number 5, that's it.
Now at age 37, and 3 years removed from his last win, Brian Shaw is more determined than ever to reach his goal of a 5th title. His quest begins next. Welcome to the 2019 Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man. Anna Maria Island, a 7-mile stretch of some of the most magnificent beach in the U.S. Just one of many spectacular destinations in Bradenton, Florida, the site of this year's competition.
Brent Stover alongside former All-American and Super Bowl champion, it's Aaron Taylor. We began this competition with 25 men. 8 of those men have secured their spot into this year's World's Strongest Man final. As the final group begins their qualifying round, 2 spots remain, and much of the talk revolves around one very big man.
And that big man, at 6'8", 440 pounds, is 4-time champion American Brian Shaw. Now, Brian's been very candid about his disappointment with his results the last 2 years, finishing 3rd both times. So yes, his window of opportunity may be closing, but many still think he's got the chops to notch a record 5th title.
First things first for Brian Shaw, he's got to find his way into the final, and he's got some tough competitors he goes against. Let's learn more about them in our Tachi Power Profiles.
Brian Shaw, USA. I set the record last year with 10 finals in a row. Adding to it this year with 11 in a row would be amazing, but the 5th title would sound a heck of a lot better than 11 straight finals. This is the first year that my wife will have come to World's Strongest Man with me since 2015. That was a good one. Obviously, I won in 2015. Having her here and then getting to have the boys here is going to be huge.
Go, Brian!
I was thinking, you know, how many guys are actually left from when I started in 2008, and there are not a lot. Felix would probably be maybe the only guy.
Felix, Great Britain. This is my 14th World's Strongest Man. I just want to lift heavy weights because my body is just like, it's designed for it. I love coming back every time.
Oleksii Novikov, Ukraine. I have world record Attlestone, 220 kilo for 5 reps. It's a very important competition for me. I first Ukrainian strongman who compete in World's Strongest Man in years. And I hope be in final.
Trey Mitchell, USA. I always loved the strongest people on TV, the strongest characters. We're farm strong. There's a lot of people rooting for me, and there's people that aren't rooting for me. I like when people don't root for me because it fuels me. I like to prove people wrong.
Gerhard from Staden, South Africa. Last year I couldn't make it. Some of my lions were poisoned. They cut off their feet and they cut off their head. Emotionally, it was devastating for me. What I said on Facebook is to all the poachers out there, if I do catch you, I'll rip you to pieces. By 2050, 50 to 60% of our animal species will be extinct. So it's a sad thing that happened, but it lit the fire and motivated me to get back into strongman and to get that out there. I have the strength and I have the voice to talk and to protect them. They don't have that.
Von Staden's such a great advocate for wildlife conservation and getting set to take on this group's first event, the Monster Jam Truck Pull.
And the truck pull is an event that requires some serious leg drive, as our strongmen will pair a pull of Monster Jam trucks weighing a combined 25,000 pounds down a 22-meter course. He who goes the furthest fastest wins.
Gerhard van Staden from South Africa. His 6th appearance at World's Strongest Man.
Van Staden, at 386 pounds, is certainly built and has the body style to be successful in this event. When you're pulling that much weight, Brent, mass matters, and Van Staden brings a lot of that to the table.
He's a pro strongman, a wildlife conservationist, like we saw in that piece, and an owner of a wildlife sanctuary that has lions, tigers, cheetahs, leopards, crocodiles, meerkats, elephants, and rhinos.
I love it.
What do you do every day, Aaron?
That's a lot of animals. I'll tell you what, man, the last time we saw Van Staden at the World's Strongest Man was back in 2017 in Botswana. It was during the bus pull that he tore his left calf in a very similar event to this. But so far, he's looking pretty good. He's starting to get tired, standing up a little bit here. But he looks determined to get these Monster Jam trucks across the finish line.
Still got the wheels rolling. Again, you mentioned the time limit is 1:15 seconds. That shouldn't be a factor. It looks like he's going to be able to get to the finish here. And indeed, Van Staden gets the job done in a shade over a minute.
That's got to be a great confidence booster. Last time he did such a event similar to this, he got hurt. It was hard there for him at the end, Brent, but look at that time, 1:14 seconds, and he never gave up. Look at that body lean as those big arms pull on that rope with that 25,000-pound load close on his heels.
4-time World's Strongest Man champ Brian Shaw, the headliner in this group, 6'8", 440, now 37 years of age, Brighton, Colorado.
Interesting piked position there at the start for Brian Shaw, who gets these Monster Jam trucks past their initial inertia. It's really hard to get these things moving, but once you do and get yourself into a nice rhythm like Shaw's got here, it's kind of easy.
Brian Shaw, the American, so meticulous. And what a rhythm he's got going here in the Monster Jam truck pull.
And I want to clarify easy, Brent. Maybe easy for a guy that weighs 440 pounds and has won this competition 4 different times, but he's on a blistering pace here, really built well for this event, with an incredible time of 38.69 seconds.
That's a man that looks satisfied in setting an early tone here in the qualifying round. He's the leader. 38.69 is his time. So Shaw sets the pace, and now the rest of the athletes of Group 5 will have their hands full. More Monster Jam truck pull when we come back to the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man, presented by Rogue.
The 2019 Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Tachi Palace Hotel and Casino in Lemoore, California. And by Rogue. Don't weaken.
Back in downtown Bradenton, Group 5 continuing their first event, the Monster Jam truck pull featuring the iconic Gravedigger. 2 athletes have already competed. Brian Shaw leads with a time of 38.69. Van Staden in second with just over a minute, and 3 athletes remain. Mark Felix, 53 years of age. Think about that. The oldest man in the competition and still going strong.
They call him Miracle Mark because of how old he is and what he's able to do. Brent, I'm 47 years old. I could get hurt in a pillow fight. There's no chance I could do what we're watching Mark. Still the oldest man to ever qualify for the final. Still looking impressive for his age.
The man from Great Britain, opening event here in the qualifying round.
Everybody's got a nice steady pace to about this part in the course where you start to hit a wall. There's a slight incline at the very end, which seems to be giving Felix some trouble.
And now starting to wobble, going sideways on the course, so that's generally a sign that there's not much gas left in the tank.
They're burning. It's on fumes right now. His muscles need some oxygen, and he just can't convert it enough to have the necessary power to keep going. There's no questioning his strength. The 25,000 pounds will test anybody's endurance.
Time limit is 1:15. He's almost there. Either way, this is the end of the road for Mark Felix. So he will go into third place with a distance of 18.90 meters.
He's inspiring to watch, man. He's not that much older than me. To see him compete at this level, look at those arms. To be in this good a shape at his age is inspiring.
Trey Mitchell, the American, is next, 6'4", 340. 25 years of age, one of the young guns here from Lumberton, Texas. His nickname, Big Tex. Enough said.
Good initial pull there, started with a wider base, taking him a little bit to find his rhythm. Being in sync with your lower body as it pulls and drives the trucks. Being in sync with the upper body, pulling on the rope is important. Now he seems to find his groove.
Hard work is something that was definitely emphasized when he was growing up, and because of that, he thinks you get things done through hard work and perseverance, and obviously good attributes for the truck pull here with two trucks.
This is the part of the course that starts to get the incline. He's feeling it. Again, these guys have the strength, but the muscles are starving. They need oxygen, and it's just so hard to convert that your endurance gets tested to the max. There's no quitting, Big Tex, but he's going to have to dig a little bit deeper to get those front tires across the line, and he's close.
He had said he was a little bit nervous but excited in this his first ever event at the World's Strongest Man, and he's able to complete the task.
Great job by Mitchell, 103.32, just never gave up. Focused, determined, upper lower body working in sync. What a great effort.
Your fifth and final athlete in Group 5.
Oleksii Novikov of the Ukraine is up next, considered by many to be the in-form strongman of the moment after he won 2 straight Arnold competitions in April and late May. So that leads perfectly into this, and trying to keep that momentum going is Novikov.
Well, we just saw Mark Felix, who's the oldest competitor here at 53. Novikov's the youngest. 29 years, 9 months, 25 days between those two. So Novikov still got some time to kind of work on his technique.
2016, 2017, 2018, Ukraine's strongest man.
And it's at this point, Brent, where you got to make a decision. How bad do you want it?
Youngest man in the competition, just 23 years of age. Trying to come up with a good result here. Time to beat was 38.69. That's Brian Shaw, and he's going to be about 13 seconds off of that. Good effort, though, and he is satisfied here to go into second place behind Shaw.
Ultimately, Brent, this sport is about competing against yourself. You saw the celebration by Novikov there. He has to feel good about completing a course that is so darn challenging.
But it's Brian Shaw that wins the opening event of the qualifying round. In a time of 38.69, the winner of the Monster Jam truck pull, the American and 4-time World's Strongest Man champ, Brian Shaw. So the veteran Shaw wins with a time of 38.69. That is a blazing, blazing time in this event. World's Strongest Man rookie Novikov in second, 51.42. Von Staden in third in just over a minute. And the 53-year-old Mark Felix comes in fifth. Here now, our very own Jenny Dell with Brian Shaw.
You overcame a lot in 2018 to come in third place. Why is this your year to get your 5th World's Strongest Man title?
I mean, you know, I've been held off in 17 and 18, you know, and came in both those years, obviously wanting to win very badly. But, you know, it's back in the United States. I'm feeling good. I'm not trying to overcome any kind of injury like I was last year. I got my wife and 2 baby boys here to watch me, and you know, the stage is set, you know, and this is a great start to the qualifier. You know, I've got to get through this to make it to the final first, so just one event at a time, but this is a great start.
Obviously, each pole is different, whether it's a plane pole or a bus pole. Here we have the truck pole. Can you explain why these tires affect what you're doing out here on the course?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, off the start with this, it's very important to try to build momentum because of the size of the tires and the grooves in them. It fights you the whole way. So it's a pole where you have to work hard the entire time. And then at the end of this course, it actually had a little bit of a grade. And so all of the guys were getting caught kind of in that last 10 feet or so. So I knew if I built up some good speed that wouldn't affect me as much. And I was able to overcome it and get a good time, and that's what I needed to do.
Yes, you were. Congratulations on a great first event.
Thank you very much.
And up next, it's a triple threat. The athletes will take on 3 of the toughest objects of this competition in the Giants Medley when we return to the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man, presented by Rogue. Welcome back to downtown Bradenton. Group 5 about to take on their second event, the Giants Medley.
And this is going to be a brutal one and aptly named because our athletes are going to carry 3 giant objects down the 21-meter course, which include a farmer's walk at 660 pounds and 2 super yokes, one of which is over 1,300 pounds.
Mark Felix of Great Britain has already gone. Pretty impressive the way he handled the first 2 apparatus. He did struggle a little bit here with the third, that 1,325-pound super yoke, straddled with BKT Monster Jam tires. Too difficult, unable to complete the course, but gets a total distance of 19.65. So now it's Trey Mitchell, and he will go opposite Gerhard von Staden. Mitchell is in 4th after one event, and von Staden, the man from South Africa, is in 3rd after the first event.
The first part of the event, the farmer's walk, is about grip strength, but also mobility. But picking up the 660-pound logs is one thing. Getting them across the lines and others, we see Mitchell drops his, giving von Staden the first crack at the 995-pound super yoke.
Mitchell making up ground, though, and now Mitchell in the lead. Von Staden struggling, and Mitchell onto the 1,325-pound apparatus.
What an impressive comeback by Mitchell. But this 1,325 pounds is punishing. It's not just getting it off the ground, it's do you have the core stability strength to get it across? And he does!
Trey Mitchell with a statement in the second event.
Incredible for him to drop the farmer's walk and recover with the way that he did in the time that he did. The spectacular as we see von Staden tap out.
Heck of an effort from the man from South Africa. But he will go into 3rd. But Trey Mitchell is the story here. He's the leader now in the Giants Medley, 32.69. Impressive time.
And what a story it was, Brent. His ability to recover and to get this point with the super yoke across the line first, amazing.
Is the fountain of youth drying up for 53-year-old Mark Felix? For Shaw, Novikov, and the rest of the field, they are just hitting their stride. The Giants Medley continues when we come back to the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man, presented by Rogue. Welcome back to downtown Bradenton, where we continue Group 5's second event, the Giants Medley. 3 athletes have competed so far. Trey Mitchell leads, completing the course in 32.69. Felix in 2nd, carrying it 19.65 meters. Von Staden in 3rd. 2 athletes remain, beginning with Oleksii Novikov from the Ukraine. He's in 2nd place after one event, and he will go opposite the American Brian Shaw. Novikov, the youngest in the competition, against a veteran of 37 years of age who leads after one event, the 4-time World's Strongest Man champ, Brian Shaw.
How about Novikov as the rookie taking on a 4-time champion with so much at stake?
660 pounds, and he is rolling in that far lane, is Novikov.
Wait, which one of these guys is the four-time champion?
Precisely.
Novikov is crushing this.
1,325 pounds on the final apparatus, losing his balance and going a little bit sideways, and now Shaw making up the distance, and Shaw, what a finish, photo finish between the two of them.
Brent, I'm wondering if Novikov just got that skid down, and that's right. With a time of 24:73, Brian Shaw gets second place, and the winner of that head-to-head competition and the event for this group, winning the Giants medley, is Oleksii Novikov from the Ukraine with an impressive time of 24.68. I gotta tell you, this finish was one for the ages. Novikov never gave up, and he got it done.
And it was Shaw that described Novikov as on fire now in strongman, and he showed it right there. Just 5/100ths of a second separating first from second in the Giants medley. It's Novikov, then Shaw, Mitchell, Felix, and von Staden. After 2 of 5 events, Novikov and Shaw tied at the top, 9 points each. Mitchell, von Staden, and Felix. Remember, the leader after 4 events and the last man standing winner qualify for the final. Next time on the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man, presented by Rogue. 2 events completed for Group 5, and there's a dead heat at the top. Will the USA's Brian Shaw put some distance between himself and the field? Or will the Ukraine's Oleksii Novikov take the reins? Who will get the automatic bid to the final? Last time on the World's Strongest Man, Brian Shaw began his qualifying round and his continued chase of history, a record-tying 5th title. Many say that at the age of 37, time may be running out for Shaw, but his fast start here quickly silenced those critics. But then Shaw was challenged by someone 14 years his junior, an impressive member of the next-gen class. Coming into his debut, Oleksii Novikov arrived with great expectations, and he did not disappoint. Will the 4-time champ get another shot at glory? Will the 23-year-old from the Ukraine begin a legacy of his own? We find out next. This is the 2019 Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man.
Bradenton, Florida, is a city that prides itself on its present-day preservation of its shores and beaches, its history, and its pioneer past. Brent Stover alongside former All-American and Super Bowl champion, it's Aaron Taylor. Much of the talk has been on Brian Shaw, the veteran and 4-time champion, but a couple of rookies to World's Strongest Man in this group have made a big splash.
The young pups are coming to play. Let's begin with Oleksii Novikov from the Ukraine. A young pup at just 23 years old, he just inched out Shaw in the Giants medley by 5/100ths of a second. He's currently tied for first with Shaw. Right behind them in the standings is a guy who conquered the super yoke, weighing in at over 1,300 pounds, Trey Mitchell from Texas. These guys came to compete.
No doubt, Aaron. It's a very competitive group, and the group leader after event number 4 will get the automatic spot into the final. The second spot will be determined by a stone-off last man standing event. Whoever wins that gets the second qualification spot.
Hello, Coquina Beach, we hear ya. Moments away from this group's 3rd event, the Monster Jam Deadlift. Brent, this is one of the gold standards of strength athletics where our strongmen will be required to lift 2 Monster Jam speedsters weighing a combined weight of 825 punishing pounds.
Mark Felix has gone, and he was able to get 9 reps, and he would set the mark to beat the 53-year-old longtime veteran of this sport from Great Britain, defying Father Time. And that's the mark to beat. Von Staden also went, but it was tough for him. Compared to Felix's 9, he got just 2, and now 3 athletes remain here in the deadlift. Trey Mitchell up first, the American. First World's Strongest Man appearance, 25 years of age. He's the 4th youngest in the competition.
It's been impressive. It was crazy because early on his family discouraged him from competing in strongman competitions. They were afraid the big man was going to get hurt. But the only thing he seems to be hurting are other people's feelings with his strong performance in his rookie debut.
The number to beat is 9, set by Felix, and Mitchell has got 4 with relative comfortability and now at 5.
What I love about Mitchell is he's not timid. Everything he does, he attacks, including this event, the deadlift.
And he's at 7 with a nice rhythm here.
Got a little bit wider base than we sometimes see from some of the other strong men, but he's just winching and ratcheting up those speedsters up his thighs, asking for clarity on how many he has, because on his next rep, he would tie Felix for the lead.
And that's it for Mitchell. So Felix remains the leader with 9. Mitchell settles for 8. But the American seems pleased with that. Big Tex.
Representing the United States, Trey Mitchell.
Mitchell's been impressive, man. Feeling good about himself. Clearly, he's got confidence. Look at the strain and determination on his face, trying to lift that punishing load.
Coming up, the co-leader and 4-time champion Brian Shaw from the United States hopes to stand alone at the top of the leaderboard. The continuation of the deadlift when we return to the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man, presented by Rogue.
The 2019 Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Tachi Palace Hotel and Casino in Lemoore, California. And by Rogue. Don't weaken.
Welcome back to Coquina Beach, where Group 5's 3rd event, the Monster Jam Speedster Deadlift, is underway. Look at the scores so far. Veteran Mark Felix currently in first with 9 reps, followed by Mitchell in second, von Staden in third. 2 more athletes remain. Brian Shaw up next, the 4-time champion, intent on making this year his 5th. Let's hear from him in his Tachi Palace Power Profile.
Taking a step back, you know, it's been a couple years where it just hasn't quite fallen together the way that I would have wanted it to. Coming into 2018 was a tough one for me, detaching my plantar fascia, essentially training on one leg. My wife was pregnant, having the baby while I was gone at the contest. All those things were factors. Still got 3rd place. If I was healthy, there's no reason that I couldn't have won that. Of course, you got all these people that want to say, well, yeah, Brian's getting older. He's not going to win anymore. But they don't see that behind the scenes. So, you know, my confidence has not wavered. The big battle that everybody's wanting to see is Brian versus Hafthor. Always the bridesmaid and never the bride, you know, like he finally got that monkey off his back after being on the podium so many times. Myself and Hafthor may be the front runners, but Tioskowski, Lisis, there's a few other guys that could come in and really do some damage.
Certainly a lot of competition here that Shaw is up against as he makes a run for his 5th World's Strongest Man title. And let's see what he's got here in the deadlift.
Not too many people in the world have a lower half as strong as Brian Shaw. Based on his physiology alone, you'll see that his stance is a little bit wider. And look how deep he bends his knees to get into the lift. As he starts the movement, driving through his heels, locks his back in, and stands up and pushes his hips through to count rep after rep.
Brian Shaw, number to beat 9 by Felix. Shaw is at 8. This to tie Felix. Not a problem.
Looking good, ties it up.
This one for the lead. And he does it, besting Mark Felix's 9.
Looks like Shaw wants to keep going. Maybe he wants one more for good measure.
Novikov is yet to come. So Shaw trying to pad that lead. There's the 11th. And there's the time limit. So Brian Shaw goes into the lead with 11.
Your new leader of Group 5 on the deadlift with 11 reps.
He's feeling good about it, as he should. He wanted some redemption here. He's now the leader with 11 reps, and he looked great start to finish. This is a hip-dominant movement. Look at those powerful arms as he locks his back in and begins to thrust his hips through with power. It's clear Shaw means business.
Oleksii.
So does the 23-year-old Novikov, part of that next-gen group, the future of strongman. And well, for Novikov, the future is now. He has made a splash so far here in Group 5 in the qualifying round.
Looks like Novikov's got some pretty short legs here. In contrast to what we just saw from Brian Shaw, he's repping out rep after rep, barely bending his legs, not having to go down nearly as far to pick that bar up and thrust his hips through. Novikov is really impressive here.
Closer to the ground. That build that he has is advantageous in this event. That's 9. He's 2 off of the lead, set by Shaw with 11.
Oh, that's not going to count.
No rep.
He never got his hips through.
He remains tied with Felix for second with 9 until that. So he's in sole possession of second with 10. Shaw has the number to beat with 11. And Novikov with everything he possibly can, and that's a no rep. So 2 no reps there, and that cost him a tie for first in the event. So Novikov, nevertheless impressive. 10 reps, and he gets second place in the deadlift.
They say experience is what you get when the result doesn't work out the way that you want. Moving forward, Novikov will learn the lesson about making every rep count.
So Brian Shaw holding his young son Braxton, who turned 3 today. What a way to celebrate a deadlift victory. Brian Shaw wins with 11 reps. Novikov right behind with 10. Felix in third with 9. Von Staden gets 7, but has to withdraw from competition due to a right foot injury. After 3 of 5 events, Shaw takes sole possession of the lead. Novikov on his tail with 13 points. Mitchell in third, Felix in fourth. And the leader after the next event will get an automatic qualification spot into the final. The USA's Brian Shaw and the Ukraine's Oleksii Novikov continue to distance themselves from the rest of the pack. But the other competitors still remain in the hunt for a spot in the final as well. Only 2 will move on. Find out who when the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man continues. Welcome back to Coquina Beach, the stage for the group's 4th event, the overhead press.
Shoulder and arm power going to be tested here as our strongman will lift a 220-pound dumbbell off the floor and lift it up and lock it out overhead.
And the leader in the group after this event will get the automatic berth into the final. Let's see how things played out.
Circus dumbbell press will be interesting this year. It's 220 pounds, 4 reps. I'm interested to see how many reps I'm gonna have to push for in that event.
It's not my strongest event, but I've been working on it and I will get a few reps.
Starting out, I wasn't very good at dumbbell. I didn't have any equipment, but I had some friends that got me adjustable dumbbell. Needless to say, it's gotten better over the years.
Trey Mitchell's another American up-and-comer.
There's a lot of people rooting for me, and there's people that aren't rooting for me. I like when people don't root for me because it fuels me. I like to prove people wrong.
I just focus on my breathing only. I couldn't hear the people in the background shouting, nothing at all. It all depends on how you perform on the day. It's an individual game. Go there and just give 100%.
Novikov.
It's first time World's Strongest Man. It's a very important competition for me.
Besides myself, the most complete competitor in my group is Novikov, and he's been kind of on fire lately.
I first Ukrainian strongman who compete in World's Strongest Man in years.
I need to make sure that I come out and jump on him.
30 seconds, Brian! 10 seconds, Brian! Gotta go!
And Magnus didn't give the down.
And I was waiting for an official confirmation, because you don't want to get happy when you think you've won and then they come back and say that it wasn't what you thought.
There we go, Brian!
11 straight finals.
Never been done before.
I set the record last year with 10 in a row, adding to it this year with 11 in a row. The 5th title would sound a heck of a lot better than 11 straight finals. We got to rest up, and now it's time to get number 5.
So Brian Shaw keeps his place in first with 10 reps, and he has earned that automatic bid into the final. Novikov not making it easy, right behind with 9 reps. Then Mitchell, followed by Felix. So Shaw has punched his ticket. Now it's up to Novikov or Mitchell. They will battle it out for the remaining spot in the final. The drama about to unfold as we check in with Jenny Dell.
After the break, who will secure a spot in the final? Our strongmen will lift this 400-pound stone over this 4.5-foot-high bar. They'll go back and forth until one can no longer complete the feat. Who will be the last man standing? Find out next at the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man.
Back to Manatee Beach, where 2 athletes from Group 5 have one last shot to make it to the final.
A lot on the line here in the last man standing, Brent, as the 2 athletes will compete for that final spot in the final by lifting a 400-pound Atlas stone over a 4.5-foot bar. Remember, there is a time limit per attempt at 20 seconds.
Everything on the line here. Oleksii Novikov trying to get to his first World's Strongest Man final. Same for the man from Texas, American Trey Mitchell. And look at that stare down.
Looks determined, doesn't he?
He's not playing games here. It's a trip into the final on the line. And again, Brian Shaw gets to sit this out. He has already punched his ticket out of this group into the final.
Now, Mitchell's at a disadvantage because he starts with the 400-pound stone on his side. So effectively, he's got to do 1 extra rep to win. So he's playing the role of the underdog here as we see Novikov get that ball back and kind of return serve.
It is a cruel game of tennis, essentially. And you alluded to it, and you never know when it could come into play. Once that ball falls on your side, the stone, you have 20 seconds to get it back over.
Time limit shouldn't be a factor here early on. But as this event continues, endurance will definitely start to play a factor.
The crowd, you would think, favoring Mitchell. They've been supportive of everybody down here, but obviously on home soil for Mitchell here in Florida.
Mitchell looking more comfortable with that 400-pound stone, more so than his Ukrainian counterpart, Novikov, who seems to kind of be figuring it out on the fly, how to just pick this thing up. That's his best-looking rep so far.
Mitchell going to take his time here.
How far back Mitchell's heels are, almost touching the line, and just literally leans forward. He better be careful there because as this goes on, he's going to get more tired. He doesn't want to get hung up on that bar.
Novikov looking strong with that rep.
Heels still further back. Got to be careful.
How great is this? I mean, it's mano a mano. Who can keep going? Who can dig the deepest and get that second spot in the World's Strongest Man final?
And that's what I love about this, Brent. It's not just about the strength. It's about the mindset and the focus, determination, and making sure you're deliberate and specific with each attempt is critical.
And once you get it over, thinking, man, I hope that thing isn't coming back. Will this be the time that it finally doesn't come back over?
This is the most sick game of hot potato I've ever seen.
No doubt. And now the ball is in the court of Novikov. Again, you've got 20 seconds once it hits, and that becomes, more of a danger the deeper we get, obviously.
I mean, think about what this is going to mean for each of these competitors. Making the final, as green as they are to this sport and this competition, it would be unbelievable.
Whoever it is out of these two, it's going to be a heck of a story going forward.
And look at Mitchell breathe there. He's gassed. The question is, can Novikov keep this up and keep applying the pressure?
For the moment, yes. And now Mitchell.
Taking a little bit more time to get that stone up.
Chance of USA in the background. Helping to will Mitchell. He gets that one over. Now it's up to Novikov. The winner into the final. Had it for a moment, now regrips it. Novikov, he's only got 20 seconds. He's dropped it twice. So we are closing in on the time limit, and that's it. That's it. Trey Mitchell, the American. His first ever trip to the world's strongest man, and he qualifies for the final.
And Novikov has to be disappointed. Such a competitor, just coming up just short to the American Mitchell.
So both Americans out of this group are through to the final. First Brian Shaw, and now Trey Mitchell.
Novikov has nothing to feel bad about. He competed his tail off. And how about Mitchell? His mantra's been determination and hard work. He's become the fourth athlete to win with the disadvantage of the stone starting on his side.
And he's with Jenny Dell.
All right, Trey, before this whole competition even started, you said you're a hard-working kind of guy. I would say that qualifies as hard work. How are you able to get through that?
Just determination to never give up, man. I knew he was going to be a tough opponent. He was pushing me. I wanted to push him even harder.
You are now in your first World's Strongest Man competition, and you have just made your first World's Strongest Man final. What does that mean to you?
It means the world. It's awesome. I hope it's not going to be my last one. I'm going to prove to everyone I can hang with the big boys.
Well, congratulations on your first World's Strongest Man final.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome job.
A very self-assured and confident Trey Mitchell on to the final in his World's Strongest Man debut. For Brian Shaw, an 11th straight trip there, and a valiant performance by the Ukraine's Novikov, but we'll have to wait till next year. Next time on the Tachi Palace World's Strongest Man, the final is now set. 10 competitors will go as far as their bodies will allow, from defending champ Hafthor Julius Bjornsson to four-time winner Brian Shaw, who's going for his record-tying 5th championship, to crowd favorite Martins Litzis. These competitors will now dig deep for the strength to finish this marathon and be crowned the world's strongest man. For Aaron Taylor, Jenny Dell, and our entire CBS crew, I'm Brent Stover. In association with Endeavor Content, this has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.